Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Shalom.
Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya,
Salam kebajikan.
At the first, let us introduce ourselves. My name is Ridho Abadi.
I'm Arvidion Oktavian.
I'm Gede Hariel Dananjaya.
And Naufal Rafid Muhammad Faddila.
So today we're going to make a video for our English test. So the video is about the Russian and Ukrainian war. In this video, we will talk about the Russian-Ukrainian war. Some of the subtopics that will be discussed are history, war background, chronology, and the impact of the war.
Okay. It's been a year since Russia invaded Ukraine, and the battle continues. Military and civilian death and injuries on both sides has been estimated in the hundreds of thousands, and millions more Ukrainians have been displaced. The two countries share heritage goes back more than 1,000 years to a time when Kiev, now Ukraine's capital, was at the center of the first Slavic state. Kievan Rus, the birthplace of both Ukraine and Russia. In AD 988, Volodymyr the Great, the pagan prince of Novgorod and Grand Prince of Kiev, accepted the Orthodox Christian faith and was baptized in the Crimean city of St. From that moment on, Russian leader Vladimir Putin recently declared Russian and Ukrainian are one people, a single group. In the 18th century, right then, Western Ukraine was annexed by the Russian Empire. Over the years that followed, policy known as Russianification banned the use and study of Ukrainian language, and people were pressured to convert to the Russian Orthodox faith.
Ukraine suffered some of its greatest traumas during the 20th century. After the Communist Revolution of 1917, Ukraine was one of the many countries to fight a brutal civil war before being fully absorbed into the Soviet Union in 1922. In the early 1930s, to force peasants to join collective farm, Soviet leader Joseph Stalin orchestrated a famine that resulted in the starvation and death of millions of Ukrainians. Afterwards, Stalin imported large numbers of Russian and other Soviet citizens, many with no ability to speak Ukrainian and with few ties to the region, to help repopulate the East. With the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, Ukraine became an independent nation. But uniting the country proved a difficult task. The transitions of democracy and capitalism was painful and chaotic, and many Ukrainians, especially in the East, longed for the relative stability of earlier eras. Crimea was occupied and annexed by Russia in 2014, followed shortly after by a separatist uprising in the eastern Ukrainian region of Donbas that resulted in the declaration of the Russian-backed People's Republic of Luhansk and Donetsk.
Between October and November 2021, Russia began a massive build-up of troops and military equipment along its border with Ukraine. Over the following months, additional forces were dispatched to Belarus, the Russian-backed separatist enclave of Transnistria in Moldova, and Russian-occupied Crimea. By February 2022, Western defense analysts estimate that as many as 190,000 Russian troops were encircling Ukraine and warned that a Russian incursion was imminent. Putin dismissed this expression and claimed that an accompanying Russian naval build-up in the Black Sea was a previously scheduled exercise. While Western leaders consult with both Zelensky and Putin in an effort to stave off a Russian invasion that appeared inevitable, Putin issued demands that include de facto veto power of NATO expansion and the containment of NATO forces to countries that had been members prior to 1997. This would, in effect, remove the NATO security umbrella from Eastern and Southern Europe, as well as the Baltic states. These proposals were flatly rejected. On February 21, 2022, Putin responded by recognizing the independence of the self-proclaimed People's Republics of Donetsk and Luhansk. Putin ordered Russian troops into Ukrainian territory as peacekeepers, and Russian military activity in the Donbass was ongoing since 2014, but consistently disapproved by the Kremlin. February 24, Zelensky addressed the Russian people directly, delivering an impassioned plea for peace but vowing that Ukraine would defend itself. Later that day, at about 6 a.m. Moscow time, Putin took the airwaves to announce the beginning of a special military operation. Within minutes, explosions were heard in major cities across Ukraine, and air raid sirens began to sound in Kiev. It seems clear that Putin's plan had been to seize Kiev in a matter of days and to install a pro-Moscow government. In the early hours of the invasion, an elite Russian paratroops unit captured Hostomel Airport, just 6 miles, around 10 kilometers northwest of the Ukrainian capital, in airborne assault. Millions of Ukrainians fled the country as Russia indiscriminately targeted civilian population with rockets and artillery strikes. On March 16, as many as 600 people were killed in the city of Mariupol when a Russian air strike leveled the Donetsk Academic Regional Drama Theater.
As the war entered its second month, it was clear that the offensive against Kiev had grossly miscarried. The Russian paratroopers at Hostomel had been isolated and subjected to furious Ukrainian artillery bombardment, and the Russian troops occupying the Kiev suburban of Irpin and Bucha were conducting a horrifying campaign of violence against the civilian population of this city. On paper, the Russian military appeared to have an overwhelming advance in both personnel and material, but the West quickly responded to provide Ukraine with billions of dollars in military aid. In May, fighting intensified in the Donbass, and Ukraine launched the counter-offensive to push back the Russian troops and had been threatening Kharkiv. In the south, however, Mariupol finally surrendered to the Russians after nearly 3 months siege that had reduced the once vibrant port city to ruins. Ukrainian officials estimate that at least 20,000 civilians had been killed in the city, and more than 90% of Mariupol's structure had been damaged or destroyed during the siege. A number of factors will dictate Russian millions on attrition warfare in the Donbass. As demonstrated in the failed Kiev offensive, Russia could not count on its armored units successfully execute even the basic element of maneuver warfare campaign. Putin's specially military operation against Ukraine had seen the fall of Russian main troops toward Kiev, the deaths of at least a dozen Russian generals, and sinking of the Moscow, the last ship to be lost to enemy action since the Argentine cruiser General Belgrano was torpedoed during the Falkland Island War in 1982. Russia had become the most heavily sanctioned country in history. It was isolated from international banking system, and the EU, the US, and the UK and Canada had opposed their airspace to Russian traffic. Ukraine conversely was embraced by the West as developing democracy, defending its side against the depredation of an autocratic neighbor. On June 23rd, Ukraine was granted candidate status, an important first step on the path to membership in the EU. NATO, declared by some irrelevant in the 21st century, found a renewed purpose and sense of solidarity in the wake of the Russian invasion. On July 5, both countries signed accession protocol. Instead of shattering the alliance, while Putin had in effect the Baltic Sea into NATO